At 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, my phone lit the conference table like a flare. I was midway through a zoning presentation when I glanced down and saw the message from my brother. Sold your worthless building for $200K. Family needs it more than you. No question, no emoji, just a verdict. I set the screen face down and finished the meeting. When the officials shook my hand at 4:15, I picked the phone up again and stared until the words stopped swimming. Worthless, he'd said. The downtown building he meant was last assessed at $8.5 million. 3 profitable storefronts at street level, offices stacked above, 2 floors of apartments on top. The rent came in at about $142,000 each month, but Adrian never asked about numbers. To them, I was still Nora, the daughter who'd helped out as a property manager and missed the respectable stations, law school like Adrian, marriage with a golf club like our sister Lila. They saw my 2-bedroom as proof I'd settled. They didn't know it was a penthouse I owned free and clear, or that I'd quietly gathered 17 deeds while they practiced recognition as a sport. There's no commencement for solvency, no cake for buying freedom. In the parking garage, I called my attorney. Rosa, I said, my brother sold a building he doesn't own, the Morrison on Lake. Paper rustled. 8.5? She asked. For 200? I heard anger load into her breath. We'll do it by the book, I said. Contact the buyer, freeze funds, file criminal and civil, loop in the DA. I hung up, drove to my parents' house for the weekly dinner, and pressed the doorbell. I found Adrian at the head of the table with Dad's good scotch, Lila and her husband across from him, and my mother sweeping in with an apron that crowned her queen. There she is, Adrian said, grinning too wide. I found a buyer, negotiated up to 200. He lifted his glass like a toast to benevolence. I sat. How did you transfer title exactly? He blinked. Details, Nora. I'm a lawyer. So you forged my signature. The room stilled. Lila frowned. I thought you just managed that building. I bought the Morrison in April 2019, I said. Cash. It's worth $8.5 million and nets $142,000 a month. Would you like to see the deed? Silence, except for the click of Mother's wedding band against the glass. Adrian laughed a weak laugh. You're being dramatic. I had power of attorney. No, you didn't. My phone buzzed. I stepped into the kitchen. Rosa? Your brother used a title mill called Quick Close Solutions, she said. Presented a forged POA and a doctored deed. Buyer is Johnson Properties. Legit and furious. I've got the bank freezing his firm account. Balance before deposit was $47,000. The DA's office is looped. Understood, I said, and walked back in. That was my attorney, I told them, sitting. The documents were forged. The buyer's counsel is filing. The bank froze the funds. Adrian's phone lit. He answered, color draining. Yes, this is Adrian Hale. He listened, swallowed. Damages? He lowered the phone. They're suing. Lila's screen flashed next. Oh my God, you're trending, she whispered. Local attorney sells $8.5 million building without owner's consent. Dad puffed up. We'll handle this privately. The doorbell rang. 2 officers stepped into the dining room. Adrian Hale? He stood. Yes. You're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and grand theft. They cuffed him. He looked at me. I'm your brother. I know, I said. That's what makes it worse. The door closed behind them. I breathed, steady, and prepared for what came next. By morning, the headlines went national. Rosa called at 6:52. They've filed, Nora. Account frozen. Buyer demanding rescission and damages. I made coffee. Good. We keep it clean. Adrian made bail. Dad phoned, hoarse with panic, asking me to make it go away. I told him no. This isn't about money, I said. It's about permission you thought you had. He hung up. A week later, Adrian pled to spare prison, probation, restitution, and the end of his license. Johnson Properties took the property back on paper. My deed stood. The transfer was voided. The title mill folded. The quiet felt larger than relief, like windows thrown open wide. Lila met me for coffee downtown. She didn't ask for numbers. She asked if I was sleeping. "Mostly," I said. She squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for believing small things about you." I believed her. Months turned. Adrian took an entry job managing buildings for others. One morning he rang from an unknown number. "I'm teaching trainees how to read an area like a ledger," he said. "I learned it listening to you when we were kids. I didn't hear you then. I hear you now. I'm sorry, Nora." After the call, I stood at my window looking out at the grid I know by heart. People mistake quiet for absence. They don't see the scaffolds you build in silence until they're already holding up the sky.